Hi, thank you for joining me. Today this is a review of Hyperdimension Neptunia PP Producing Perfection on the PlayStation Vita. And unfortunately this is the world we live in, where Sony has made it so that we can't capture footage from the Vita aside from like filming the handheld like this, so you'll just have to bear with me. But this is a game in the Neptunia series. This is a series that's by CompileHeart and Idea Factory. We've gotten a lot of localizations of this from Nipponichi America, and some very good games. These are kind of a little bit of a parody, JRPGs for the most part, and this is something of a side story that is not a JRPG this time. In fact, despite it kind of calling itself like an idle simulation game, it's more of a visual novel in spirit, I would say. So here you can see we have a scenes here with the characters. So Neptune has decided that she wants to play by rolling around on the floor. And I didn't intend it this way, but honestly, that's kind of a pretty good summary of this game. Honestly, the real charm about the game is the characters, and I think that's true with the Neptunia games so far. I'll come out and say right now that this game really is for the fans. If you aren't already a fan of the Neptunia series, I can't recommend this as a place to start, and I can't necessarily expect that this would be the kind of thing to bring a lot of new people into the series. Now, that's not to say that it might not. In fact, there's a funny sort of fourth wall breaking moment where you specifically can press Neptune for some details about the game, and she essentially admits that it's a kind of a plea to get people that are fans of idle simulation games interested in the Neptunia universe, kind of pull some new fans in. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, so basically this is just an excuse to hang out more with the cast of the sort of the four main CPU, the console patron units from the Neptunia series, and I wholeheartedly welcome that. When you start the game, you're basically sucked into the world of game industry as a kind of typical everyman sort of character, and your job is to be a producer for one of the four goddesses here, because their shares are all being taken by, it's a parody on Akiba 48, which is an idol group in Japan that's been very popular recently. So they have Mob 48, which is an idol group, basically like idol as in sort of like a star, like a pop star. So they're kind of these pop idols, and so these CPUs, instead of just sort of ruling their video game inspired worlds, are going to become pop idols as well, and they summoned you from another world to help them. So you do that by basically just choosing options off of a menu to adjust the character stats, to unlock different scenes with the characters. Now, honestly, that is basically the main goal of this game, is to see all of the scenes. That's pretty much what most of the trophies are based around. Here we can see the work is going to get us more fans, and then it'll also adjust you know, our guts and our stress are two of the sort of simulation elements that we're managing here. So, so really, I mean, not all of the scenes and the dialogue in the game is you know, completely over the top and goofy. I mean, I think Neptune is probably the silliest character for the most part, but I really like all of the characters in the game. You know, I think if you've been playing the Neptunia series, the, uh, the characters have had plenty of time to charm you, and really just having an excuse to spend more time with them is a lot of fun in this. So, and here, this is actually an important thing that you'll want to do for unlocking scenes is talking to the other characters. Um, Vert is the resident sort of hardcore gamer, and she's also she kind of represents you know, the U.S. and sort of Microsoft and the Xbox brand in this. And actually, you know, I've sort of grown to really like and appreciate the perspective that she brings on, I guess, maybe how Japan might see American gamers. I think it's kind of a lot of fun. Yeah, so you can see here we can work. We can also train, which is going to raise our stats. We have a whole bunch of stats. There's the trust in us. We've got like vocal, dance, some different areas. We'll take a look at the status screen here in a bit, so we can see. But we can see like vocals increased. Here we go, rhythm, expression. I think just knowledge is one of them. And you're going to want your stats to just be relatively high in general in order to get the true endings. There are multiple endings in this. Of course, you have like a good ending, which you can pretty much get just by going through the game and playing it normally once. You're also going to have a true ending, which is going to require a lot more work. Now, traditionally in the RPG, the JRPG games, the true endings are usually, you know, relatively satisfying. They're sort of, you know, what you would expect to be kind of the real story conclusion, and you're going to want to go out of your way to get that. Now here, it's kind of the same way, except I've only gotten one of the true endings so far, which was Neptune's, and it was pretty weak. I felt like it was kind of weak. I think it does sort of end the story in a way that might be more fun for the player. In these, it's, you know, it does follow that visual novel convention of kind of almost being a romantic visual novel. You'll notice that you have a little heart symbol when you're talking to the characters, and that shows the amount of affection that they have towards you. And that's another option that you can choose when you go to the I think it's like the relax menu. You can take a vacation. You can do a refresh, which is just gonna like give the characters a day off. It's one of the ways that you manage the stress. And in addition to that, or being able to chat with the other characters, you can also have a little like affection event, and that's a little heart icon. And when you do that, it's gonna raise the character's affection for you. And so, you know, when you get to the end of the game, the true endings, I'm assuming that for each of the girls, kind of has to do with more of, you know, what if they fell in love with you, and kind of, you know, how would that sort of play out in the end. So this has that kind of romantic visual novel element to it as well, but it's not, you know, I wouldn't say quite as fleshed out as it is in other, you know, romantic visual novels, where that's really the point. In this, I think it's more on the humor and the charm of the characters, and just sort of, you know, going through just exploring the personality of the characters themselves. That's really the fun of this game. And yeah, so I mean that's kind of the game in a nutshell. When I first started playing the game, it was really confusing for me, and I don't think that I really understood the extent to which you were really trying to unlock scenes with the characters. I did have a lot of fun just playing through it once, getting one of the girls, you know, good endings. You don't have to try anything especially hard for that, but you get 180 days in which to sort of play out the simulation, and You can finish it much sooner than that, but really you don't want to when you're trying to unlock the scenes. And I would say the best way to do it really is just to look up a guide. You're going to be looking up a trophy guide or FAQ or something online for this to sort of figure out what the best approach is to unlock the scenes. And when you go to that status menu, you're also going to see the status of like sort of the percentage of scenes that you've unlocked for the character, and they're in different categories. So you have like I think it's key events, you have SP events, which are like special events, I guess. You have love events, you have day off events, and I don't know if I'm going to remember what the last one is, activity events, I believe. And when you see that in the status menu, that's for each of the characters. Like the particular character that you're playing right now. I thought it might have been sort of a global one, which was confusing for me. But essentially, you're trying to get those all to 100% if you want to get the, sort of like the each girl's producer trophy. That's what you're going to be going for. And if you're going for 100% on it, that means that you're seeing all the scenes in the game. And that's kind of the main point of it. One compliment that I would like to give this game that I think is probably overlooked by a lot of people talking about this game is that it's fully voice acted. There's only 2 scenes that I can think of that aren't voice acted. The main character isn't voice acted, but I think that's sort of to aid in, sort of placing yourself in their position. But it's a scene with, there's a small scene with Compa and a small scene with IF. And I think it's because each one of those would just have had 1 or 2 lines. They didn't invite, their voice actresses in to record those lines. So there's no voice acting on those couple short scenes. But other than that, it's fully voiced. And, I think that's the reason why this took a little while to localize. And it's something that has never happened in any of the Neptunia games so far. It's been kind of a criticism even of the games where people have complained they've wanted more voice acting. So it's really nice to see them, because this game relies so heavily on, just the dialogue and the writing and the scenes that you have with the characters. For them to have gone to the trouble of fully voice acting in game, I think is really wonderful for this, and it's very enjoyable just to hear the performances. I think the voice actresses that do this do a really good job. Additionally, there have been some complaints, about the songs also. So here we can go ahead and do a concert here. So I'll show you what this is like. You can choose like a stage. You can choose the different effects, and you can choose what song you're going to play. As you play through the game, you'll unlock each of the characters' songs. And you don't necessarily have all these things unlocked to start off with, but I've been through the game a few times, so I've got all the effects and that kind of thing. But basically, you can see there were only slots for 5 songs, and some people have complained like, oh, man, there's only like 5 songs. Like, what is this? That would be an understandable complaint if this was a game like, Hatsune Miku Project Diva F, or like some kind of rhythm game where you were really playing, the gameplay is just playing through the songs and tapping to the beats and that sort of thing. That's not what this game is. The songs in this game don't serve that purpose. The purpose of the songs is just to be something that you do during the concert, and you're probably only going to want to do maybe 3 or 4 concerts during the course of a play session, just to get you more fans and kind of progress the story. It does help you unlock scenes in different areas. You're probably going to want to travel to the to Lowy and Planeptune and Last Station and Leanbox to do a concert in each of those areas. But that's going to cover all 4 of the songs that you can even play. And that's plenty for the way that this game is structured. Additionally, it's actually pretty amazing. For each of the songs, any of the characters can sing it. Plus, you can transform into your CPU form like you did here, and they have a different voice. So these voice actresses, like each recorded singing each of these songs. So if you've got the 4 characters plus the additional form that each of them can take, that's 8 versions of each of these 5 songs in there. That's pretty impressive. That's like whatever 45 different versions of the songs that are recorded on here. So you can see how 5 songs is it's kind of it's unfair to look at that and think that they didn't put a lot into this. It's 45 songs really. And it's fun to hear, the songs rendered by the different voice actresses and stuff. I think it's neat, and I actually really like this particular song here that Blonde does, her signature song. It has a really horrible name. It's like Dear. It's something. It's just kind of lame, but the song itself is really catchy. I enjoy just checking out the different characters singing it. So basically that's it. I kind of talked over it and didn't really explain what you're doing. But you're basically just switching the camera angles. You can move the camera around with the analog stick, which I didn't even realize until way through the game. And you're also triggering those stage effects. You want to kind of sync those up with when the crowd cheers for the girls. So like they'll go boo la in their Japanese pronunciation there, and that's when you wanna hit the stage effects. That's when they'll have their greatest effect. But yeah, so and you also saw like there was charts of the shares that you have. So if you want to really get the most out of a particular playthrough and be able to like stretch it out so that you're playing through 100 days or more, you don't want to raise your shares too high necessarily. You can go ahead and focus on stuff like taking days off and chatting with the other characters and just doing that sort of stuff. You're going to want to travel around to the different places. You don't even have to do all that well in your concerts. I mean, originally I was like, oh, we have to get shares and we have to, I was trying to do the concerts as good as I could. Oh, here you can see the event completion there. And these are the shares that people have. So we're rank 5 right now, so we only have 7%. And that's okay, because that basically just means we're going to get to play the game longer while we're sort of waiting to get more of the shares. And you can unlock scenes by some kind of weird stuff too, like the more you get your character stressed out, the more, so you'll see some scenes related to how stressed out they are. You might see some scenes related to how low their shares are. You might see some scenes related to how high their shares are, stuff like that. So, again, I would recommend that you look it up to to find out if you're just, most of the way you've got like 95% of the day off events or something, and you can't find, you're not quite sure what to do to get the last few. Just, look up, or if you want to do this really efficiently, go ahead and look it up. Really, you can spend a lot of time with this game. I did one playthrough. It took me about probably 2 or 3 hours the first time I played. You're going to do that with all 4 of the girls. Plus, to get both of the endings, you're going to have to do that at least twice. So even if that was just 2 hours, you're talking that's 16 hours of just, playing through the game. And that's if you get everything in just those playthroughs. Really, to get Neptune stuff, I had to play through the game 3 times. And my next 2 playthroughs were longer, especially the last one, because I was really I was really stretching the days out and trying to get in enough time to unlock all the scenes that I wanted to unlock. You don't have to unlock all the scenes in one playthrough. You can do it in multiple playthroughs. But yeah, you're really going to end up sinking quite a bit of time into the game. I think it's harder and more time consuming than it seems at first, and then I think you might give it credit for to start off with. So as a Neptunia fan, I'm loving this game. I'm gonna go ahead and get a platinum in it, and I just think it's fun. I had the most fun playing through it the first time. With the first character when I didn't really know what was going on, and I played through it with Nora, and I loved her scenes, and it was just a lot of fun to see them. It does get more tedious when you're playing through it again, and especially if you don't really know what you need to do to unlock more stuff or to get the good endings. To get the true endings, you can't screw up a single choice that you make, out of a certain number of sort of set choices that you need to make during the game. So you really have to use a guide That's just how these games are. The main Neptunia games are the same way when you want to get the true endings. You just have to do that. So if you just accept that, that you're probably going to be using a guide to get this, you know, I think your second playthrough is fun. Just trying to get that, and getting to see the scenes that you missed with all the characters. If you're a Neptunia fan, I think you're really going to enjoy this game. It's kind of like a fan disc, though. You know, it's made for people that already like this series. You know, in terms of gameplay, it's not super deep. It's honestly kind of confusing if you don't understand what your goals are, trying to unlock all the scenes in the game. And there isn't a whole lot here for, I think for people that aren't already fans of the characters in this game. But if you are, I think you'll really enjoy this. And if you aren't, I would say, if you want to start with this game and try it out, go for it. But I would recommend maybe playing, the canonical games first. You might want to start off with, Neptunia Mark II, which I liked a lot. You could also start off with the Rebirth, the reboot of, kind of a redo of the first one that's coming out on the Vita here pretty soon. So anyway, here's of course an obligatory boob joke we can end with here. But anyway, that's my review of Hyperdimension Neptunia Producing Perfection. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you'll join me again for more video game related videos. Thank you very much for watching.